I'm sure you've heard of Liam Jacobs, right? And Liam Jacobs was part of DA, and then he moved over to
Yeah.
PA now. If you were to share, what's your thoughts on him moving over to the PA? Hi guys, welcome back to the podcast. Today we are joined with Ivyn Sambo, who is a major content creator in the finance space who I look up to. And he has over 250K on TikTok. He has over 26K on YouTube. He's been killing in the financial space, working with big brands and etc. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, Ivan. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's an honor. It's cold in Joburg, but let's go through it.
Yeah, I mean
Let's
it's
conquer the weather.
it's cold in Cape Town as well, and it's a lot. But I'm glad that we can actually do a podcast from, or even have a conversation where you in Joburg, I'm in
Mm,
Cape Town. We both in the financial space over the content space, but we can still have these conversations. Um,
yeah,
let's talk about you getting into the content creation space, right? So,
yeah.
what made you start doing financial content?
I am not a content person. I never planned, never thought, and I don't think I will last long in the content space because for me, it was wanting to find people that got me into content. So back in the days, I'm not sure if you remember, Twitter was the thing, right? Twitter was the space where everyone can share their thoughts. And I used to see a lot of misinformation
Mm,
around financial education, financial aspects, financial principles. And I have no background in finance, or I have no level of profession in the space. But I was like, some of the things are bare basics and everyone should know why people lying about it, why people
mm,
should misinformation about it. So I started replying to tweets causing misinformation, and in doing so, it blew up. But I never took it up as like, oh, this is something I could do as like content. Like, oh, I just quoted someone and I got 1,000 likes and 200 retweets and whatever amount of comments and a lot of followers. And it's just like for fun. So I kept on doing it because I don't know, I'm a law graduate, so I love attention. So I kept on doing it. And my friends were like, hey, Ivan, actually have a lot of information that you have that people will actually value. Don't you
mm.
want to just professionalize it and brand it and structure it in a proper manner? I was like, I'll think about it. Then I don't know why, but I got bored. I'm like, okay, let me actually do it. And I think the rest is history. Like, I don't have a very good, nice story on how I started. I don't. For me, just like from Twitter, then my friends were like, oh, I have just structured it properly, build it, brand it proper. Don't be loud as you are on Twitter. Try to be now more human in your things. And then I doing it on Twitter, started to be more educational than attacking and correcting people. Actually coming up with concepts to explain on Twitter. Then I was like, Twitter can limit you. Words are not enough. Then I started going to to Facebook. Then Facebook, I went to TikTok. Also, from Facebook, I went to YouTube. And on YouTube, it blew up as well. I was like, oh, YouTube, let's try TikTok. And it blew up. And I don't have a structure for my content because it's something I do as I'm in love with this. It's my ambition, it's my goal. Like
Mm.
now I'm doing it because an obligation, because of the amount of audience I have. And with that level of audience and influence comes a level of responsibility that you have and a level of duty that you have. And I take that social duty that comes with it very serious. I think that's why I keep on doing it right now.
Yeah, man. That's that's a crazy story. I think like, and I would never say that you started in the Twitter space. I mean, like I've been in the Twitter space and it's so toxic, man. It's so
Yeah.
toxic. And I can imagine you seeing people say some crazy stuff or like give some like
And you know how toxic Twitter is.
toxic, like very toxic. You say like you on Twitter or you've seen people give very bad advice and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I do believe there's tons of bad advice online. And there's also people that are selling courses that give bad advice. Do you think that there is some people that are selling genuine courses that are teaching people, or do you think that they're mainly taking advantage of people? And yeah.
I'm against courses, especially if you brand yourself as a financial education content creator, if
Mm,
you use that term in your way that you are online,
yeah.
I believe you should never ever sell any course or do any form of content for the aim of selling it to
Mm,
your audience. Because I believe when you're a financial content creator, you are putting yourself and giving yourself a duty to educate. And I believe with such level of poor understanding of this space, you need to do it for free, but also monetize it on the level of monetize when you can do with the brands, like with the
yeah.
big institution, you get your money there. But when it comes to the actual people, I believe you should never sell. That's why even every year when I do I've done courses, all of them have been free. I
Yeah.
have done templates, I have done diaries, I have done a lot. All of it has always been free to the people. I have hosted webinars. After
Mm,
webinar, it's always been free to the people. If they are selling a ticket as a price, it's either for a fundraising or there's a cost behind it.
yeah.
But it's never been like, oh, I want to be rich. So I don't believe, but I also have to understand why people do it. But at the same time, I am also against courses that are not, how can I put this, that are not structured in a manner that makes sense. I've even bought some courses myself, and when you open it and you just copy one page, you know, like when you go to a PDF file, you say copy.
Yeah.
So what you call it? You say control, it's control V or control A, and then
Yeah.
you go to Google and you copy and paste it, and it pops up. It's an American version of another course. Just now the words are changed to fit South Africa. So I
Yeah.
hate that. But it's my personal opinion that the financial education coordinator should never sell a course. But I also do understand that we live in an economic situation where some financial content creators cannot partner up with brands to find a way to make money. And this for them is a way to make money. And if they're doing it in a manner that's ethical, meaning they're charging a price that's reasonable for their time, and not trying to extort and scam people, then I'm okay
Mm,
with it. But at the same time, they must also be ensured their courses are in line with the regulation of this country, the FIC, oh, I forgot the letters now, but
yeah.
ensure it's in line with all the regulation in the country. Then
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I 100% I agree. I think if there's no value given, if it's just copy paste, it's you're just taking advantage of people. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
And there are people out there that like they actually do make good valuable content, but brands haven't reached out to them, and they I think like you said, like if there's a room for it and you're providing value for the course. I think the problem is when there's no value in the course and people are spending their hard-earned money just to try and change their life. I think that's the problem there. Um,
And also, even if there's value, but since I'm course when there's value in the course, the
mm,
content that is so beautiful, but the value is overvalued, if that makes sense.
yeah,
You find that the cause is being targeted to South Africa. Look at the economic situation in this country, and we're saying the cost for 2,000 rand,
yeah,
5,000 rand. And you
in,
can say, my time is valuable, but the time is put in, there is so much, but are you telling me your time is what 5,000 rand per person?
yeah,
So
that's
sometimes it may much as value, but that value must be fair value and must speak to the social economic situation of the country at the
100%,
same time. Because you can't say because I'm adding value, then you try to take advantage of people at the same time.
100%. There's
Yeah.
there's a level to it, right? Like you gotta know who you.
Yeah.
Coming back to you doing content, there's always a moment when you're creating content and you're pushing and you're grinding and you're putting your time and effort into it. There's a point where it's like I blew up. Like
Mm.
I've gained enough. I'm not like gained enough, but you gain a following where you're like, oh, like I can actually take this like the next level. Was there a particular video or moment, or maybe a milestone where you like you reach a certain number of subscribers or followers, you're like, okay, this is serious stuff now.
I don't think for me it was in terms of numbers online, but I remember once we went to Woodstock Farmers Market in Cape Town, was me and my wife.
Mm.
And out of nowhere, this random girl pops up, say, "Hey, Ivan, how are you doing?" And
Yeah.
I'm so stuck. I go, "Who are you?" Right? I'm like, but I'm not gonna say, "Who are you?" I'm like,
How about you,
"Hey,
your
how are
wife?
you
You're like,
doing?"
hey, yeah.
I'm like, "Hey, how are you doing?" It's like, "Oh, I love your content. I'm a follower of yours." I think that for me was like the moment because because at the time, as much as content creators, we look at each other like, "Oh, we're celebrities." I'm not saying we are, but for me, for someone in the street to say, "Hey,
Yeah.
Ivan, I follow your content and I love your content," it for me was like, "Oh yeah, I have done a lot." For that,
Yeah.
for someone to randomly show up and pop up, so there's this place like what do you call this place? The Four Ways Market.
Right.
So it's all basketball. What do you call this place,
It's
man?
all basketball.
All basketball. The one in Cape Town. For
Yeah.
someone to pop up and say, "Hey, I recognize you," it means I was like, "Oh, that's the moment for me." I think a second one as well is when someone decided to share my number on a Facebook group. I felt that I got so many WhatsApp. I was like, people really enjoy my content.
Yes.
And for me, I think it was like, oh yeah, that's the moment. But also at the same time, numbers are not also the true reflection of your work, as well as of your followers.
Yeah.
I think also the stories that you hear from people in your comment section also sometimes it brings me and motivate me to say, yeah, I have a responsibility. And when I post a video and I see the question people are asking, the engagement, it also like say, yeah, what I'm doing has impact. I have done a lot. Then it means something to me. I know sometimes I can never read all the comments, but it clicks sometimes. It clicks
Yeah,
sometimes.
man. Yeah, I definitely get that. Because for someone to even come up to you, that's taking them taking time out of the day to be like, you actually appreciate your content. Like I really like your
Yeah.
content because, and also you get people that are like they know you and they've seen your content, but they won't come up to you. But when you come to a certain level where it's like, okay, he's big, now I really want to go to chat to him and say thank you for your stuff. So I think definitely that's a shocker, and I think it's a space where you're at a different level. You spoke about
Mm.
people commenting and leaving messages and that type of stuff about the value that you give to them. Has there been like a comment or a DM that was like very heartwarming, or like they situations been like a full 180 in the financial space that have you ever encountered that?
To this day, I still want to get, probably I changed my numbers and I lost the number of this lady. So it was during COVID-19. I think it was 2022, if not 2023, but I spoke about this a lot in all my
Yeah.
platforms, the story. But I remember I got this DM. So I did a video on TikTok and also on YouTube
Yes.
where I talk about property stock fails,
Yes.
speak about stock fails in general, right? Then few weeks later, or few days later, I got a DM on I know it was a comment. I got a comment of a lady like, "Hey Ivan, I love this comment. I love the work you've done.
Mm.
Here's my number. Please text me." I was like, "Oh, cool, sharp." Then I text. I don't know why. People don't do it. I was like, "Hey," but it was student comments, so I'm bored. So I was like, "Hey, I saw your comments. You said I love my comment. You want to know how to actually create a stock file." I'm
Yes.
like, "Yeah, I just need to understand." Then this woman put me on a WhatsApp call with eight other women. I explained how to create. And remember, I'm not a professional in this field, right? So I'm
Yeah.
telling them, guys, I'm telling them this is financial advice, but this is what I've read. And I'm telling them I have never done this myself personally, but I've read stories about it. And this is what people have said they have done it. I'm explaining how property stock file work from creating the stock file, creating the constitution, the powers of a secretary of a stock file, the power of the treasurer, chairperson of a stock file, how people use private companies and the Stockfell members like that. I'm explaining all of this, right? I'm explaining all this to them on the WhatsApp call that lasted like 30 minutes. They say, "Cool, Ivan, thank you, bye." Years later, this is 2023 now. Yeah, 2023 is the
Mm.
2024. This lady comes back to me, is like, "Hey, Ivan, we have done it. Thank
Wow.
you so much." I think that's the one story for me. I spoke about it so much on my podcast, my other platform. That's the one. I wish one day I can meet this group of women and just
Yes.
see the work they've done. But I found out they did. Like I said this thing in like 30 minutes, and I was like, "Okay, cool, done." I forgot about it. But I think that's the one story for me that truly is. was like, yeah, impact. Sometimes things don't need you to be so philosophical. Sometimes it takes 30 minutes call. Sometimes your contents can go and people can do bigger things than even bigger than you yourself.
Yeah,
I have even one time I saw a screenshot. I was tweeting something. Someone replied on my tweet, where they quoted it, and they shared their easy profile portfolio and said, "Hey, Ivan, look what I have done in the past few years." And that portfolio was 3, 4 times bigger than my portfolio. And the earnings they have done were bigger than the earnings I have ever made.
yeah,
But it shows that sometimes you can make some of us are not gifted to be perfect at doing the application, but we're
yeah,
good in just education. We're good in just speaking it. And other people are very good in taking what you're speaking
yeah,
and going out there and implementing it and doing beautiful. And you need to be proud of yourself for doing that. You need to be proud of yourself that you're able to motivate people to do bigger than what you could do yourself.
yeah.
And never feel a little bit of like, ah, I wish it was me. Never feel like that. Just appreciate it. So I think those are the stories that I enjoy the most, that I'm proud of.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, with that story, right, is that I've encountered some things where people ask for advice, right? I think you've encountered this multiple times where people will still DM you, even though there's content out there that you've made that is raising the same topic, right? But again, you still take the time out of your day to chat to them and that type of stuff. But the thing is that what's motivating is when they take action of what you tell them.
Yeah.
That's what
Mm.
they've done. And that's why I think that story resonates with you and sits with you because they've taken action on the advice you've given them. Because you could go so many times and speak for hours and on hours, but then they're like, yeah, you're right, you're right, you're right. And then there's no work being um and we've seen it so many times, time and time again. Like I've posted stuff um for job opportunities and I say, like, reach out to me. They'll reach out to me like, hi, I'm interested. I'll send them a message again for something else, and then they'll leave me on red or they won't respond. So again, people want to be helped, but they want to be spoon-fed, and that's what we find in the content space. Do you find that as well sometimes where like you genuinely trying to help someone and then they don't reply or they don't want to work harder?
Um, I still get a lot of those, and I think I've made peace with the fact that it's not it's not my job. I
Yeah,
made peace that it's not my job. Content creation is not. I don't know if I sound rude, but I, as an individual, will do my best to put all the content out there.
yes.
And now I've reached a point, especially with how the regulation became more stricter, to stop entertaining individual comment, individual need for help. If someone asks something, I'm going to answer it publicly in a video or in a post that
Uh,
everyone can access, everyone can see. If you need further help, I always now go back and say, please seek help from a registered financial advisor.
mhm.
Because at the same time, now what I'm trying to do is to try to run away from um, being liable for people's action as well. Because I have seen that sometimes especially for us in our space, we hold power. People
Mm.
see our word as gold, especially
Yeah,
as so I
it's
have now
true.
stopped engaging individually because number one, I can never help everyone. I have a job, I have a family, I have my own hobbies, my own things, I have friends. I can never help everyone. I can never be the
Yeah,
one to solve all the issues. But when I see on my Twitter video, I see this one question everyone keeps on asking. It's a repeat question. I will do a video about it. I will tag one comment, or I will tag that person, or I'll just make it public for everyone to access. And if there's still more question, I'll do another video the next time. But I will no longer engage individually. And I know that's painful. During COVID-19, we used to engage individually and be like, hey, let's help, let's help. But now I also am reached a point of saying like I don't want to be held personally liable for whatever losses or mistake people do.
mm.
Secondly, it becomes emotionally draining for me when I keep on explaining one thing over and over again,
Uh,
spending my time, and someone keep they entertain me for a few while, get me interested in helping or getting the resource or connecting with the right institution, the right registered individual to help him. then the person just does nothing. For me, I feel emotionally drained, and it becomes like I'm human as well. I get
Mm.
emotionally invested into things. And I've reached a point I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. So I have, since last year, officially stopped engaging individually.
Mm.
I'm sure you have seen my comments. If I'm going to engage you individually on the comments, where everyone or the general public can see,
Yeah.
and also I always make it clear that what I'm saying is general and it's not like I'm maybe post now a family there. I fear liability now. I fear engaging, and also I also want one thing now. I care more about my emotional state of mind than ever before. And I'm not saying I'm abandoning the cause, but I'm just saying that it's now time to also look into that you can never help everyone. And
Yes.
financial content creating space, English is right now, you know. The space itself is very emotional because a lot of people, when you talk about money, talk about emotions, you talk about history, you talk about identity, you talk about dignity, and people are hit them in the core. And when you speak about something, people aspire to be in that space.
Mm.
And
Mm.
when you don't entertain them, you don't help them, they feel like you are think you are better than them, or you think that you don't want to help or something. So I know that. So that's why right now I was like, let me shift back and let me help the best I can publicly and share everything publicly. So that even those who have other questions can see the comments from other what's that done? I'm just sort of hearing noise in the side. And then other people can now see there and just follow there and not have to ask the same question over and over again. I'm not
Mm.
sure if I answered your question. I even forgot what
No,
was the
no,
actual
I get
question.
you. I get you. No, it makes total sense. There's been a lot of times where like you said, like people have this idea, people want advice, but like again, you're not responsible for their life. You're not responsible for the actions they take. 100%. I do this segment on the channel. For those that are coming back to the channel, we do quick fire questions. So I'll
Yeah.
ask a round of 10 questions and basically it's quick answers. Yeah, so let's get into the segment. So first question is, first thing you've ever saved up for?
I couldn't hear you repeat that.
What's the first thing you ever saved up for?
First time I saved for, I think it was a bucket hat.
A bucket hat. Nice.
Yeah.
Next question, TikTok or YouTube? Which platform do you prefer?
TikTok every day.
Okay. TikTok. Best financial advice you've ever received.
Spend money on yourself. It's not bad.
Nice, nice. One money mistake everyone should make at least once.
Have that.
Have that. Okay.
I know it's wrong, but I will explain at the end. I'll explain at the
Go,
end.
go, go. What's the African issue you wish young people cared more about?
Um, Gender equality
Inequality.
and mental health.
Nice. Most underrated content creator in the financial space.
Um, Underrated.
Yes.
Oh,
So,
Soul Fairy. Those Soul Fairy from Twitter. For people on Twitter, they know her. She's very underrated.
I'll take it. Um, what should be taught in school but isn't?
What she saw in his school, but isn't cooking, cooking,
Cooking.
cooking, cooking. Yes, cooking. Please teach people how to cook. My sister can cook. All of them, they can't cook. My brothers, they can't cook. My brothers can cook. My sisters, they can't cook.
Uh,
Oh, please teach people how to cook.
valid, valid. Coffee or energy drink? Which one gets you through the day, through editing? Uh,
Energy drink. I'm a big Red Bull guy. I drink Red Bull like unhealthy. I know it's wrong. I drink it very bad, but I drink it. Yo, Red Bull over anything. Specifically Red Bull, not any other energy drink, just a Red Bull.
Red Bull sponsors this guy. Uh, one person you'd love to collaborate with, local or global?
Local. Um, La Sezwe. I like that. I don't
Yeah.
know how you gonna miss the
And
two, but
can
that guy
you
is so funny. He's so funny. I like his videos. Like I'm like that guy is so funny. And I don't know, like he's so underrated. I know he's huge, but I don't feel like he's getting the enough attention as it deserves. That guy is so funny. I like his content.
globally?
globally. Kitley. No, it's Kitley. Yeah, that guy that does food review.
I haven't seen it, but yeah.
Ah, I love his videos. Like, here's the thing, like, as much as I'm in financial education content space, my TikTok has zero financial education content. Zero. Unless I go to follow, where I go to see the people I actually follow.
Yes,
But
yes.
my FIP is just cooking, it's just comedy, it's just politics, it's just fishing and camping.
Nice, nice. Last question quickly. If you weren't doing financial finance or politics, what would you be doing right now?
How are we doing? I don't want to be a history teacher in
History.
high school.
Okay.
I don't teach. I would love to teach history, especially grade nine history. I used to love grade nine history. My grade history teacher was the best one ever, and it made me so in love with history that I even did until grade 12. And when I went to university, I was so obsessed with history just because of him. So I would love to be a history teacher in high school. I would love to.
Let's talk about you being in the political space, right? And
Yeah.
you basically a researcher at ActionSA. What made you get into the political space in the first place?
I've been in political space since I was in high school.
Okay.
Politics is something I've done even before contact. I've always been in politics. In my university days, I was part of the Democratic Alliance student organization as head of policy there. I've always been political. I think it's because online people have never known, but in real life, I've always been like my true career, my true ambition. The reason I studied law was to be where I am now politically. So,
Okay.
for me, that's my career. That's what
That
I
was
always
the end goal.
achieved. That was the end. That was the end goal. It still is the end goal for me. I'm not mostly as a politician. I don't aspire to be a politician. I don't like. I don't. I always say I respect politicians. Most people I hate them. I respect them. I
Yeah.
just aspire to be the guy behind the politician, the guy that makes a politician look good, the guy that makes a politician work, provide service delivery. I also aspire to be like that. So, and I'm doing that, and it's something I love, I enjoy. It's my true calling. I believe that's what God made me to do on earth, and I love it. I enjoy it. It doesn't feel like work to me. So that's what I do. But content is something I said in the beginning of the episode. For me, it was something that I stumble upon,
Yes.
and as someone that I believe right now because I stumbled upon it and I pushed it. I currently have a social responsibility to keep on doing it because the people believe in it. At the same time, with the economic situation of this country, it's also a good way for me to earn extra income to
Mhm.
support my 9 to 5 job at the same time. And
Yeah.
I've always been public about it. And at the same time, I never hide my political views. Even before I got this job, when I was still working for the University of the Western Cape, my political views are always there everywhere from all my platforms.
Yeah.
I share them because I believe that if you have a platform, you also have a social responsibility
Cool.
to advocate for social justice, advocate for the principles that you believe in. Those principles can be you don't have to be political. Some of your principles can be religious, and you need to share them through your platform. Some of them can be cultural. You share them through your platform. Some of them can be like it can be any form of principle that you hold true to yourself. For me, the social justice,
Yes.
which I share through politics, and for someone it can be gender violence, which they share through other means or other streams. So I believe like and that shows who you are. That shows the trueness of your nature. I don't know. I don't think I have to explain it to someone like you because I know you've seen your content and you're a very religious man and you share that through your work as well, through your content, through everything you do, so that people can know the other side of yours. It's not only just about talking about careers, talking about investment, talking about financial management, but also the spiritual being that you are and the values, the Christian values that
Yes.
you uphold. You share them through. So I'm not comparing Christianity to politics, guys. Please, I'm not. I'm just making an
A
example. That's
value.
something that yeah, of value to you that you want to share. And I believe whatever platform you have, whether you talk about tab, bring the other aspect of you in. Bring the other side of you as well. If you're gonna help build a moral just society, Do it, even if it's just a tweet, even if it's just there's a lady that does content, right? I'm forgetting her name. She does makeup content,
Yeah.
makeup female stuff. I noticed something was so weird one day. Every time she posts a video, there's always like a quote that always pop by the beginning and the bottom of a video.
Mm.
And I was like, what the hell is this? And the more I watch her video, every single time she's talking about makeup, but there'll be a quote popping up there. And I was like, what is this? And she doesn't, and I noticed later on, this is a Bible script. Like
Right.
every time she's talking about makeup, she's not like not in a video, it's all about Bible, Christianity, but there's Bible scripts coming in, right? And that's her expressing the other side of her belief, what
Yes.
she's trying to achieve. And I believe is something that we all, especially as content creators, we all have the responsibility to share the other side of the things we do. That's why there's people, for example, like Candace. Every time I see her videos and her contents, she shares about menstrual cycles of females, educating about that. Like she put that through her content,
Mm.
and that's like that's so important for her. So the other side of her that's so important. Like I didn't. I wish if I answered your question because I tend to ramble on and on and on and on. But that's why I'm so into politics.
Yeah.
And I don't hide it. I don't hide which party I believe in. I don't hide the reason I'm in a party. I don't hide the work I do. And if you don't like it, I always say the unfollow button, the block button, the mute button, the delete my app, that button is there for a reason. And please exercise the reason it's there for.
Yeah, you 100%. I follow Patrick B. Davis, right? I'm sure you heard of him, Valuetainment.
Yeah.
I love his podcast. I love his content. He talks a lot about the financial space, the political space, and that type of stuff. But he also talks very much on his beliefs in God and that type of stuff. And someone asked him like, you should tell him like you shouldn't be posting off like your beliefs in the political space because then you are opposing the other side, right? So he's conservative, and then those is obviously the liberal in America, and his basically response was that you have to show your values, you have to give your political views and that type of stuff because end of the day you can make an impact on other people's lives, and having those difficult conversations and not avoiding those difficult conversations of like left versus right, or then you just gonna continue people continue to believe what they believe. But if we have those conversations like, hey, you believe in this, I believe in this, let's have that conversation. I think that's why it's so important. Like for me on this podcast, I'll have anyone on this podcast. Like I'll have an EFF member, DA member, ANC, MK, like you gotta have conversations with people and understand where they actually are. So I think spot on with you.
And also, just to add that the other reason that I always hate content creators that don't want to share which side they are in.
Mm, mm.
I rather love your content knowing you're a conservative person,
Yeah,
knowing that you are a DAEFF person, because it gives me trust to know in what manner your content and in what degree must I consume it to. Because sometimes some people you find that later on, like, but
yeah,
this doesn't fit into my life, but you're branding it was not. You're lying because sometimes you see content creators that are right, they're left, but they're trying to put something as like a universal truth. But it's
yeah,
not, it's just your individual belief. Say it's my individual belief and it's labeled as such. There
yeah,
are Muslim content creators that are doing good and I know their spiritual belief. They
yeah.
are EFF or whatever, like whatever it is you believe in. I will consume your content. I won't care what side of you are
Like,
because now I will contribute the awareness of knowing who you are as a person and what to take and what not to take. But at the same time, you can never consume everything 100%. But when you lie to me in a two-faced or you hide, because when you hide, the second you try to be neutral, no one can ever be neutral. No one can ever be neutral.
yeah,
It's impossible to stand 50-50 on the line. It's impossible. You
100%.
want to sweep. 50.099% the other side.
Yeah.
So just be honest. Just be honest. And also
Yeah.
people will value you more when you're truthful about yourself, truthful about who you are, and they respect you for that. I've never shared something with someone and said, oh, because you're this, I'm gonna block you. People are like, oh, thank you for sharing. At least now I know how to approach you. And I'm like, I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
appreciate that because it gives us at least a basic of how to take the conversation forward.
Yeah. And I think it became very difficult when people there was a point where people wasn't sharing their views. They were scared to be cancelled. I think that was the big thing is that because you believe in something, you're scared to be cancelled. I think now the culture has shifted where people are now so they're okay with sharing their beliefs. Like they're not scared to share their beliefs or especially faith or maybe politically now there's still people are still scared to share their political view. Uh but again, like there's progress in that. I want to ask a question and
Yeah.
you don't necessarily have to answer. We can move on or I'll just cut it out. So but yeah, I'm not sure if you're allowed to or not. But I'm sure you've heard of Liam Jacobs, right? And Liam Jacobs was part of DA and then he moved over to
Yeah.
PA now. If you were to share, what's your thoughts on him moving over to the PA?
I'm happy for him. I'm happy.
Yeah.
He did three things. He did three things. Number one, he exercised his constitutional rights to choose whatever political parties that you have. I hate this concept that you must be loyal to one political party. I
Hmm.
hate it. I
Hmm.
hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah.
People say you're a backstabber. You're no. Hey, remember, political party must be kissing your ass. I'm not sure I'm allowed to say that. Political party must be kissing your ass. They must be following you,
Right.
not you following them. You
Right.
have no loyalty to a political party. A political party must have loyalty to you. They must earn your trust, earn your vote, earn your membership. It's your constitutional right. Not even a constitutional right, it's your right, it's your human right. So even if you change parties 100 times, you are still allowed to do. You must do it. Because remember, at the same time, the person that you are today is not the same person you will be tomorrow or the other day. Whatever it feels right for you at that time, do it because it's part of what makes us human.
Hmm.
So I am number one, supporting constitutional right to do so. Number two, number two, South African politics is identity politics by default, right? And the fact that he went from DA to PA, it shows that he didn't change his principles. He
Hmm.
didn't change his little because when you look at the manifesto and the ideas and the
Very similar.
principles of the DA ideologically, and just look at PA, there's no difference. The
Hmm.
only one huge difference is that a PA is more culturally colored and
Yeah.
more culturally allowing itself to be workable with anyone, right? That's the only difference. But ideological and principle, that same thing. So you kind of now say this guy is backstabbing. If he went from DA to ELF, that's
Yeah.
gonna be a stretch.
Yeah. Good.
Do you understand? That could have been a stretch.
Yeah.
But also he's allowed him to have that stretch. But I will question him as a person. Because
Yeah.
how do you jump that far? But now from like so I hope it makes sense. The
Yeah.
last thing
Because
as well,
yeah.
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 The last thing as well, he's still young. He's
Hmm.
23 years old.
Crazy.
You can't hold a 23-year-old to the highest standard. Like you cannot hide. Like he's allowed to make, even if there's a bad mistake, he's 23 years old, guys.
Yeah.
But he's still a child, he's still young.
Yeah.
He must make those mistakes. He
100%.
must, if it's a bad mistake, he will learn and he will fix and get back up and he will fix it. He's still young.
100%.
That point for me is like, I was like, he's allowed to. He's still finding himself. I'm 27 years old. I think when I was 23, I was also still making mistakes. And I learned from my mistakes. It's like growing up, I remember my grandmother always say, if a child is playing near a candle, don't beat the child, the hand of the child. Let the child touch the handle, bang, feel the pain. Next time you'll never go there.
Yeah.
And then it's a thing, like he's still young, guys. I don't think we're too hard at him. He's still young. He just graduated when? I think it was last year
Yeah.
from
Roughly
UP.
last year the year before.
He's still young. So for me, I'm like, He's allowed to. He's allowed to.
Yeah, I think you make a valid point with him. Like the values are very similar. I think he made a point, and he said that he moved to the PA because when he asked the member of the DA, why isn't there colored people as ministers and stuff, and he's talking from the point of view that he studied 7 years. He's been in politics for 7 years and that type of stuff. And they said um it was
Merit.
educational based and that type of stuff. So he made, and that person only finished matric. So he was like, it doesn't make sense for me to stay there when the argument it defeated the argument because he's far greater in education wise than the person he's speaking to. So I think it was a good move for his personal growth, but still keeping to his core values, like you've mentioned. Um,
Mm.
Personally, I love Gaten McKenzie. I love what he stands for. I love his banter online and that type of stuff, the way he carries himself. Yes, he's made mistakes in his past and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Another thing I like about him is that he has Christian values, and that's why I resonate with him, and
Mm.
that's what he wants. Um, yeah, thanks for sharing on that because not everyone like love to give their political view or their input because they're scared for other people's opinions or scared to be cancelled, and that's why I was like, you don't have to answer, you know?
That cancel culture doesn't exist.
Yeah,
It does not.
100%. Um, Coming back to you creating content, and I love your investing content specifically, right? Uh,
Mm.
you post a lot of investing. I've seen you work with Brookstock, which is an amazing platform. I've used Brookstock. It's amazing. I'm for it. Not sponsored by Brookstock. You can sponsor us. Uh, yeah, I've seen you do investing content. Is there a particular, firstly, like there's a lot happening in the stock market internationally,
Mm.
right? But is there a particular stock that you're like, listen, this is something that I really believe in? Or even like, do you believe in investing in the JSE top 40? Are you pro S&P 500? Where do you stand along this line? Do you say people should just put money into the S&P, the JSE, tax-free savings? Or then play around and actually like invest in individual stocks.
Um, Let me give a disclaimer first. I
Yeah.
am very out of touch with investment currently. This year has been a whole life-changing experience for me. Relocated to Joburg, had to move to Joburg. My wife is now relocated to Joburg. We have to get a new apartment. I'm getting married. I have been doing a lot of things. My investment have been taking a bad foot, and I had to make a very hard decision this year to take my hand and dive deep into my portfolio and sell a lot of things. And
Yeah,
currently I'm sitting at like I think international, I'm thinking at zero right now. International.
right.
Local, I have few thousands, crypto, I have few thousands. So I don't want to speak and people think like I always want to be honest. So this year I have really been out of touch with investment. I've not been investing a lot because I'm going through a huge life-changing journey this year,
In
relocating, getting
move, a
married,
wedding, that's a lot.
moving, like wedding costs, all of those things. And I had to make a hard decision to dive deep into my investments. And it's not a decision I regret because investments are there to support your life-changing events.
I
They're
was
there for
about
the
to
people
say,
to for you to grow as an individual. So please, when I speak right now, as I said, I'm out of touch. One thing that I've been watching a lot is it's what do you call this thing? The Rise 10, the subtricks of Rise 10 is
hmm,
one to sell no matter what. Really 10 percent like the top 10 resources companies in South Africa. Your Sasol, your Anglo-American, they're all there. Those are my biggest love right now. I remember in 2018, I used to hate mining companies. I used to not invest into mining at
yeah,
all.
yeah,
Right
yeah.
now, I'm deep into that ETF. I'm deep into that ETF.
Oh,
That's my current love. Um, but also, I am still in love with the JSE.
hmm,
I believe in the JSE more than any stock market out there. I believe. I believe the JSE, it's one stock market that gives a lot of opportunity, and there's a lot of hidden gems there. And if you spend enough time, you can find them. So I'll just say spend enough time on like research, read, subscribe to my web, read those articles every morning. Go subscribe to Ghost Mail,
Mm.
.co.za. Read the article, it emails you every Monday morning and Wednesday morning. You'll find gems, you'll find stocks you never thought about thinking. And some of them just needed to be hold and believe. PC cement, I believed to be PC cement when people thought I was crazy. I remember 2022, people thought I was crazy in PC cement. And I
Yeah.
made good money on it.
Yeah.
So one thing I can say, the chase is more of an emotional ride than a logical ride.
Yes.
For me, I found it, the more I found something and I believe in it, I read about it, and I faith in it. I know this is so wrong for me to say. I know this is so wrong, but I believe
It's
like in
real.
business events, there's a lot of companies I have researched back during COVID-19 when people thought I was crazy, and I held them, and when I sold on golden hands. And it's because it made sense to me. I believe like when you're investing, you need to research something to a level that makes sense to you.
Yes.
Like you can explain it to yourself and you believe into yourself. But at the same time, don't be crazy about it. Don't be like, don't want to go listen to other things out there. Don't crazy. But I have done it like that. It worked for me. And I think the reason it worked for me also is because I could handle risk. I think that I think that's what made me to hold such companies where people said I was crazy is because I was young, still out of university, my first job. I don't have a child, I don't have nothing. I was still that time staying by myself. I don't have responsibilities. So I could handle the level of risk. And when those shares sometimes will drop like 20%, for me, 20% like that, 20%. I don't have risk. I don't have responsibilities. But
Yeah.
I think right now, as I transition to a new life and I have to restart rebuilding my portfolios right now, I don't think so. I think I'll not be thinking like, oh, hard-headed like I was when I was young. I don't think I will be. So I don't think I answered your question.
Did. You kind of did. I mean, the thing is like I've asked you the question of like what stocks do you think is valid? You did answer that
Mm.
you very much believe in the JSE. You're very much not at the point where you can talk a lot about stocks because you still bringing money out of it because of your wedding and stuff. So that's valid. I'm currently on the other end, right? And this
Mm.
this is where I don't touch the JSE, and I think that's probably a problem. I only invest in US stocks, right? And the reason why I do that, and I could learn from you from you hearing me right now. But when I invested into the JSE, it was like so it didn't make sense to why this thing is the way it's moving. And I think this was around maybe 2 years ago, a couple years ago, that type of stuff, where I'm like there's so much of happening like politically that it affects the South African stocks. And I think that was my mindset then, um, where like I would invest in like certain stocks and I was like, it doesn't make sense. But now growing over time, and then the way I invest like in stocks, right, is that I don't only look at the company in itself, I also look at the technical side, right? Which means I look at the candle patterns and that type of stuff. So I will look at the monthly chart, the daily chart, and that's if it's stocks related. Um, but South African stocks I really struggled with. But then when I got into the US stocks, I actually started leveraging on Brook stock, which for for uh for US stocks, and I've really enjoyed that, and I've took that to a different level. But I'm coming back now. I'm like, let me get back into the JSC slowly, and then whatever I learned, maybe implement into the JSC. Uh,
The, the JSE is not short term. The JSE is not
yeah,
it's not the best financial institution in the country. We regulate things to the that even small or big political things take time to impact the GSE because of the level of regulation and protection we have for our institution. Unlike in the USA, where regulation is limited, the smallest news impact up and down. The JSE is not. And I think that's the beauty of it, is that it is not easily shaken, it's not easily moved. It takes real impact for
Mm.
it to be moved. And you need to actually believe in the story, not the daily graph, not the weekly graph, not the
Yeah.
monthly graph, the actual operation of the company, understand the leaders of the company, all the like understand their debts, like understand the fundamental of a company
Yeah.
before you invest into it. The graph in the JSE, unless you're a day-to-day trader, they are useless. You
Easy.
don't touch them. The JSE, you do your research, you understand the fundamental, you like a company, you buy it, you say goodbye, you sit in like 6 years or 6 months or 3 years, you just
Yeah,
forget
yeah,
about it. You just go there to check once in a while and you just double check it the fundamentals that you made you buy that share still aligned to the company now. Because remember, that's why the chase is so good for like a retirement fund type of things.
yeah,
Because it's long run, it's not short term. And remember another thing as well, a lot of traders are in the USA, right? So people who love trading and betting on political news, business news, they're in the USA. They don't do the GSE. So you find a lot of them will put money because of in the chase in the new the American stock market because of news that it moves the share price up and down, the law of supply and demand because of news and because of traders. Traders are not in the JSE. So whatever news is happening, no one's betting or trading on those news in the JSE. No one is. So the share price will not even move with the low supply and demand. Because there's no supply and demand based on news. There's no one saying, I'm buying shares of Sasso right now because Sarah Ramaphosa wants to make an announcement on whatever thing it is. No one is doing that in the JSE. So the shares of Sasso will not be moved heavily because of the traders are not there. They're not there. So that's why when it actually moves, it's based on fundamentals, so it's on
yeah,
operation. It's based on the company's failures. It's based on big monetary news. The
yeah.
Reserve Bank has announced something, the government has announced a huge thing. But small things do not. American president can say, I'm thinking of bombing Iran, then shares of Amazon go up. I'm like, but Amazon and Iraq, how do those two link up?
Yeah.
How are the pure look, let's look at the operation of Amazon. How much of the operation of Amazon are actually in Israel and Iran? How
Mm.
many of them? So small. But
Yeah,
for the share price to move that way, and like so you see, like the fundamentals did not move, they're still the same, but the political news and traders. So if you're in the JSE because of short-term gains, it will be boring. It will
yeah,
be boring. And I always say, please don't be in the JSE for short-term gains. Like you're in the right place. But for diversification and
yeah.
protection, it's very wise to be in the JSE. It's
100%.
very wise. Um, I like look in the past few months where the American market was falling apart because of Tesla shares, Elon Musk and Trump. Look at them. Look what's happening there. And what they didn't impact the JSE. The JSE even flinch.
Yeah,
It did not flinch. It stood on its own operation, on its own
yeah.
fundamentals. It stood pure. The JC stood its way. And imagine if you lose your money there in the USA because of all of that chaos.
Mm.
At least you know you have 100 rand in the JC. At least you
Yeah.
know you have 50 rand in the JC. At least you know you have like 1,000 rand there. Not only just the JC, look at the Australian market. The Australian market is also a copy and paste version of the JC. You
Mm.
can't move the Australian market because of the prime minister's feeling. You can't move it. The prime minister's feelings don't move the Australian market.
Mm.
So be everywhere, but
Mm.
not be too everywhere. Don't spread
Yeah,
yourself too far.
100%.
Yeah, so the JSE is very good for diversification and protection, and it's a very stable market. It's very well structured, it's very heavily regulated. And obviously, if you hate regulation, you want to make money in the JSE because the government the South African government is the most strictest government in the finance. I always say you may hate the ANC in everything, but we never hate on the financial instrument they've created because they've protected us. The 2008 housing market crisis, because of the wiseness of the South African financial institution, we didn't feel that much impact. But the corn crisis, because of how strict we are and how the ANC government come to the regulation bank, the independence of the Reserve Bank, the independence of
Mm.
the JSE, the independence of finance out of the Treasury Department in South Africa. That's something you can never take away. It's protecting us have less regulation. Go play in the international stage, but protect yourself through the regulation of this country. So when something goes wrong, you know I can take 100 rand and go put fuel in my car.
Yeah, that makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. I think even um recently that I've considered it a lot more going into back into JSEs because the tax-free savings, right? We live in South Africa. There's tax-free savings that's there. Make use of it because you're gonna get taxed on your international stuff. So make use of the tax-free savings, like you said. It makes sense.
And I'm so happy. I'm so happy that South Africa and Canada are one of the, I think it's only three countries in the world that have such an initiative. So, and remember, Canada is also one of the strictest countries when it comes to regulation as well, and they have
Yeah,
such thing. So South African Canada did very well there. And I was always say, like, I'm very grateful to whoever come up with a tax savings account. It's one of the most greatest instruments we have for
100%.
wealth in the country. The tax savings account and the retirement annuity, if they're both, if you like, imagine if you combine them like this. Ah, I can't wait for that day where I can go combine them properly.
Generational wealth, generational wealth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think to end off the podcast, I would firstly thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. But for last question, what's next for Ivan Sambo? What's next? What can we expect from you? Where do we see you in the next 5 years? Are you the president? What's going on?
Our next 5 years. I want to say, I don't know what but they always say speak out loud and it'll happen. And next
Three
5 years,
things.
I want to be a chief. The next 5 years, I want to be a chief of staff for a minister. One, like, I think God will make it possible. God will make
Yeah.
it possible. And also, I want to also just also grow content.
Mm,
Um, and also content is fun. I'm one person that just loves sharing fun. I'm one person that loves socializing. I'm an outspoken person. I like to socialize. I love being out there. So I want to create more content on not only just on financial education content, but also creating new communities in South Africa. Nowadays, I'm into gaming as well. I'm into fishing. I
nice.
want to put more people to be do gaming, do fishing, open opportunities amongst those spaces. Um, because sometimes not everything needs to be a deep conversation. Everything needs to be, oh, I'm going to teach you about finance. Sometimes into fishing, especially because of mental health. I've been trying to find ways that which I can advocate for mental health that works.
Yeah,
And for me, fishing and gaming has been an institution or a tool that allowed me to express myself and just relieve stress and all of that. And I want more men to find hobbies. I want more men to, especially the boys, shall find things that will take out their stress, their anxiety at doing. Because not everyone, growing up, I never was a sport person. So I had to find ways to express myself. And gaming, now fishing, it's one of those things I think a lot, especially for us people of color, we are always forced to go do sports, especially if you're a boy child, do sports. But when you're not a sport person, so I want to speak more about those issues, about finding hobbies for mental health, to express yourself, to alleviate yourself, and to I think that's 5 years and I will be focusing on. It may means I may have to reduce financial education content because, as I said, mental health. That's why I was part of the Gentleman's Project at UWC. Because for me, mental health very matters a lot. Also, I think there's three things for me now. Priority number one, just growing my career. Next 5 years, I want to be chief of staff for one minister out there, or MEC, or even a mayor out there. If a mayor's watching, hire me. Also, maybe we'll start doing a lot of advocacy work around mental health and also just these around financial education and also no longer educate about investment, but tell a story about money through what I'm going through in my life. And especially what I've learned here, I'm going to share the stories and the journey of what I went through this year because a lot of time we don't talk about, especially from us. people of color, we always glorify the stage we go through, but don't talk about the process behind the scene. We don't talk about the process that's go through with the conversation that you need to have, not only with your partner, your family, but with yourself as well. I want to start a conversation as well. Because it's something that also can help. Because I said, okay, for me, it all goes back to creating a just society, and the just society needs
Mm.
advocacy group, it needs education, and also it needs to have fun, and also sometimes it needs a glass of wine.
Yeah, sure. That's the thought. But I definitely think you can achieve those things. I think you have the determination and you have the right mindset, you have the right frame of mind, you have people around you, and you have a spouse around you now. So I think having good motivation there as well. But yeah, man, I think everyone watching, especially, want to see what you come up with and what you do, and I'm following the journey every step of the way. And yeah, big ups to you again, giving you your flowers as to so much that you've accomplished in not only the content space, but then also in the work and also finishing a degree. Like it's it's also
Yeah,
a lot of
that's
work,
something. That's something.
something. And yeah, I think just giving you your flowers and well done, man. And keep going. There's a lot of people that take motivation from you, myself included, and seeing what you're doing. And there is hope. There is someone that we could look to and say we can. He's done it, you know. And I think that's something that you wanna that you strive for, especially for men. Um, we need to find people. Not we've seen people internationally, right, that do it well, but you finding someone locally to be like, okay, it's attainable, it's reachable, and I think you've provided that for a lot of people. And yeah, just giving you flowers, man. So well done on that.
I thank you so much, man. And this is a beautiful platform. And keep on sharing stories. I always believe conversation is what leads to action. So also congratulations for yourself doing this work, man.
Ah, thank you, man. Thank you. Guys, make sure to follow
Thank
Ivan
you so
on
much, man.
every single platform, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, even LinkedIn. Go everywhere, follow him, spam him, show him love. Guys, make sure you do like, you subscribe, you follow to this channel. We do weekly videos, talking, having conversations, learning from people. So like, subscribe. Thanks, guys.